The Donner Arena 2000 is one of the most affordable amp modeler plus multi-effects devices on the market. Plus, it's loaded with some really interesting features. So today we're going to plug it into the studio and see what it's got. The Donner Arena 2000 is an amp modeling and multi-effects unit that ships with 150 presets. That includes about 80 amp models. We've got Cab IRs, we've got all sorts of effects and utilities that makes this a very interesting candidate if you're in the market for an amp modeling pedal. Now, there's already been a bit of chatter about this device, so what I want to do for this video is I want to focus on this device in a recording setting. But if you're in the market for something like this, something to use for gigging and jamming, well, I'm going to be sharing all sorts of tones and different features of the product, so it'll give you a good idea what it can do. There's a ton of value packed into this device that sells for about $279 US, but I'm going to share a way that you can get it even cheaper, but you're going to have to stick around until later in the video to find out how. All right, let's dive in. In a recording environment, connectivity is so crucial. Now, for such an inexpensive device, the Arena 2000 has quite a lot of connectivity, so let's take a look at that. You have your standard 1/4-inch input for plugging in your guitar, stereo unbalanced outputs, balanced outputs with ground lift, a MIDI input so it can receive MIDI information from another MIDI device, and an input for an expression pedal. Now, considering that this device already has a built-in expression pedal, the fact that you can connect a second one and allow you to control 2 different effects, well, that's pretty cool. There's also an auxiliary input, headphone out, and a USB-C port. Some have mentioned that this is for firmware updates and things like that, but actually, this also becomes an audio interface. So if you're looking to set up, your starter guitar studio, well, you've got amps, you've got cabinets, you've got effects, and an audio interface, all for well under $300. I think it's a great way to get your first studio started. So for today's demo, I'm going to be using this as my audio interface. So I'm going to scroll through some of the presets just to give you an idea what this sounds like. And then on the other side of that, I'm going to share some recording tips and strategies with the Donner Arena 2000. So I've got the song that I'm going to use to demonstrate the Arena 2000. Now, handling most of the load for this track is my Sir Classic T Deluxe. And just to make this a little more interesting, another Donner product that I'm actually going to be featuring in a standalone video is the Hush guitar. I'm not going to get too much into that for this video, but I utilize this for a couple of the parts of this song as well. So let's listen to the presets that I've chosen for this song. A really cool feature of the Arena 2000 is its Bluetooth connectivity. There's actually a free app that you can download that gives you full remote access to this device. Now, considering this is a pedal, which generally sits on the floor, it's really inconvenient, especially in a recording situation, even in live, bending over and making those tweaks. But you can have it on your tablet or your phone, have easy access to all the tweaking, building patches, everything you need to do can be handled remotely via the companion app, which makes this an even more versatile product. A real powerful feature on the Arena 2000 is when you're using this also as an audio interface. Now, if you go into the system settings and go to USB audio, there's a feature here where you can control what's coming out of the left and right channels. You could set one of them to dry, which means basically it's a DI. Your guitar goes in, goes straight through, and allows you to record a clean DI of your guitar. And then the second output could be set to effect, which means all of the effects that are in that patch will get recorded. You can record 2 tracks simultaneously in your DAW, have that clean track, which you could use to use other plugins in your system, or maybe if you have a reamping system and you go through a real amp later, it just gives you a lot of great options. Now, I typically don't record with effects on. That's not something I generally do, but in this case, I could, like I said, have a dry track that I could record and reamp later through my system, have a fully affected track. But what I've been doing on here is you also have access to all of the effects on board here. So I set up my patch, let's say with the reverbs, delays, or whatever it might have, and then before I record, I can actually easily just touch off the delay, the reverbs, any time-based effects or modulation effects, so I can just have the clean model with the Cab IR. Sometimes I even turn off the IR and just record the amp model and use some of the IRs that I have in my system. So between being able to send a DI track in combination with an affected track and very easily turning on and off different parts of your signal chain gives you some really powerful options when recording. So one tip when using this in a recording situation, or really any model or pedal for that matter, is sometimes the models can sound a little bit harsh. It's not unique to this device, but sometimes that preset might come across a little too brittle, a little too harsh in the top end, maybe the mid-range. But the Arena 2000 has 5 built-in EQs. Now I find the 10-band EQ pretty effective in this case because as you're creating your patch, you can cut those harsh frequencies, things that are bothering you before you record. You know, the more that you do before, really shape that tone, get it closer, it's less that you're gonna have to do once you get it into the mix. I wouldn't go too crazy, but sweep around a little bit. If you hear any harshness, especially with that 10-band EQ, fish around and just make some slight cuts there. Pull back on that top end and that brittleness or any harshness that you don't like before you record, and then you're gonna have a lot better tone to work with once you get into mix. So through the magic of editing, I've got that little song done, all the tones recorded with the Arena 2000. So let's take a listen to hear how it all came together. Well, there you have the Arena 2000 from Donner. I really just scratched the surface. There's all sorts of things I didn't cover, like the expression pedal. I mean, the pedal itself is good quality, plus you can assign it to wah effects, volume swells, and things like that. Plus you can add a second expression pedal. That really comes in handy if you want to control 2 different effects. You can move around all of the blocks, creating custom signal chains. The 2 designated effect slots have a whole slew of different effects that you can assign to them. There's easy access to all of the different effect blocks by the buttons on the front of the unit. Plus the rotary encoders that correspond to the on-screen display really makes it easy to adjust the different parameters and things like that. The built-in drum machine, it's even got a looper, so it's a great practice tool. But the models themselves, I do want to touch on that. Now, I don't think the presets do the device justice. You know, maybe they're showcasing all the different effects that it has, but I found a lot of them really drenched in reverbs and things like that. But I found when I really dug in, mix and matched amp models with different Cab IRs, even bypassing the Cab IRs and, you know, adding a third-party Cab IR. These are just things that I would do in a recording situation anyways, even with my real amplifiers. So it's just really flexible. And I think that what really is the strength of this device, and considering that it is an entry-level product, is there's a lot of flexibility here, a lot of different ways to work. So if you're just starting a little studio and you need, you know, different functionality, you're gonna get a lot out of this unit, definitely as a starter device, and it's certainly not gonna break the bank. But speaking about that, I mentioned a possible discount. Donner has offered me a promo code that I can share with you guys. I'm not getting any kickbacks, but I can offer you a discount if you purchase this through Donner's website. On checkout, if you use the promo code LRocker, they're going to give you an additional 15% off on what is already an inexpensive unit. So if you're interested in picking one up, make sure to check out the link. And if you do buy one, make sure to let me know. But if you have any other questions or thoughts at all, that's what the comment section is for. But if you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. If you want to support this channel, check out the description. I've got all sorts of affiliate links. If you buy anything from those links, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does kick a little bit back to the studio. Helps me make more content just like this, and I appreciate that. There's other ways to support the channel. I'm on Patreon. I've got merch. Check the description if you want to help out the channel. Every little bit helps. But the easiest way to support this channel is simply by watching another video. And I've got one waiting for you right here. And remember, you don't need a band to rock and roll. I look forward to seeing you again in another video.